Greetings all! Today, we'll be examining the Rock Steel-type Ultra Beast Stakataka, the Rampart Pokémon. Rugged and bizarre in form in equal measure, Stakataka are powerful creatures that can more than make good use of their heavy bodies to crush anything that dares to get within their reach.
These monsters have large, stone-gray bodies with glowing blue interior layers comprised of numerous different magnetically locked individual living blocks that form a vaguely tower-shaped body, with 4 legs made from square block units that allow them to move on land, albeit slowly. Each of the individual units on their main body can flip around to expose their glowing blue softer eye plates for the purpose of sight, which are normally kept facing inward to protect them from harm as much as possible.
Stakataka are unique among all known Ultra Beasts simply for the fact that they are considered to be legions, much in the same way that Spiritomb are.
Each Stakataka is comprised of a large number of individual, independently driven creatures that work together as a system in order to act and think as a single entity. This seems to be an approach taken out of a need to protect themselves in numbers, as individually, the life forms that comprise them are weak and have no real form of offense to bear. Stakataka are comprised of 2 classes of these organisms, and each seems to be designed for a specific purpose. First, there are the legs of these creatures, which are comprised of cubic entities that possess large round eyes that detect their surroundings by the electromagnetic fields of objects around them. The block entities are connected to each other by electromagnetic bonds that are strong, but not strong enough to completely lock them in place, allowing them to move around a little bit and adjust their position in order to make walking easier. However, because the bond is not that strong, they cannot put a lot of force on the leg units for risk that they might actually slip off and become detached, forcing them to plod around at a slow pace. The main body is comprised of brick entities that possess 2 main sides to them, a defensive side and an ocular side. The ocular sides, as the name might suggest, are used by Stakataka to see their surroundings above the ground, observing the world around them the same way their leg units do. Unlike their leg units, however, these units have a much more complex and effective construction, allowing them to clearly see hard lines around objects and identify complex shapes their leg units are unable to readily discern. These bricks may only have ocular units on one side, but they can flip the bricks and move them inwards and outwards in order to spy on any creature that would dare to try and enter their hollow inside, and they are shielded on the opposite side when the bricks are exposed outwards, only a few having the ocular side exposed to protect them against attack, though more will expose themselves whenever they attempt to deliver a special technique so they can perform the move and keep watch over the surroundings to ensure that nothing interrupts its execution. The main body units are also held together by electromagnetic bonds, but in their case the bonds are much stronger and only allow the body bricks to move along certain movement axes, making it nigh impossible to dislodge them from their holding. Both body unit types are made of an organic stone-like structure formed from a unique type of alien fungus that condenses and hardens over time as it grows, and the body bricks are further armored by a layer of metal that is excreted from this fungus in the center of each brick body, acting as an internal defensive shield that keeps their bodies from easily being broken into shards while glowing a bright blue color from the charged energy that flows through and binds the main body together. This as a whole makes Stakataka extremely hard to hurt in any form, and their incredible defenses serve them well in keeping the Legion as a whole safe from harm, which are made even more so by the fact that exposure to the effects of the Beast Boost after initially entering this world results in the first exposure to Ultra Wormhole energy, greatly raising their defense stat about twice as much as normal, making them capable of easily weathering the toughest of physical storms that might come their way. Although they do have an imposing physical form to them, Stakataka are generally quite skittish and do not like being seen by others, using their combined body form as a disguise in order to avoid predators. In our world, the resemblance that these creatures possess to buildings helps them to blend in readily if they stand still, lying flat on the ground and pretending to be just another building to blend in. Though this can work in the case of ruins and some abandoned sites, their form still stands out in most modern environments, suggesting that this form may have been taken in a world with more limited available construction materials in the home world, which is yet to be discovered. Thankfully for most, even if they are discovered, Stakataka do their best not to panic, instead slowly moving away in what could be called the world's slowest gallop, trying to use their strong defenses as a shield against attack so they can eventually find a new resting place with most of their forms still intact. They can regenerate damaged units if needed through asexual reproduction, but this can be tricky as certain living unit types can only be produced by their own kind, forcing them to take several steps to regenerate their forms if they take severe damage. Despite their skittish nature, Stakataka are not worth angering or disturbing in most cases, as while they are slow, they are able to hit extremely hard with physical attacks using pieces of their own body as weapons, crushing most opponents with incredible force that only a handful or 2 of known Pokemon are able to match or exceed.
Trainers should have no problem using this to their advantage though, as these creatures tend to be generally quite mild when they feel safe, and can be easy to train as long as one can work with them to help lessen their skittish nature in battle.
In terms of their combat attributes, as made clear already, these creatures are extremely heavy, and the individual units do not offer much in the way of collective stamina or special power to work with. Their base HP, special attack, and speed stats being below average for a fully evolved Rock and Steel type Pokemon, but they more than crush it when it comes to having imposing and above average base attack, defense, and special defense stats, possessing the highest base defense stat out of all Steel type Pokemon, and ultimately existing as a tremendous threat to anything that can't get out of the way of their brutal physical attacks.
These monsters are without a doubt among the sturdiest and most resilient of beasts I have ever observed, and unlike a lot of defensive wolves, they can more than fight back against those that would dare to try and stop them. On the one hand, it is nice that they are actually rather skittish and prefer to avoid direct confrontation with others, as it makes it easy to bond with them and convince them to help out others if they are needed. However, that is not to say that they can be wrangled by just about anyone, for if they do lash out, they have an impressive amount of power at their disposal and can make short work of everything that can't resist their powerful physical blows. The fact that they are essentially monstrous fungal beasts does make the gross factor a bit present, but there is so much more rock and metal to their bodies that most would never guess at their true nature. That being said, the fact that they live and think as a unified group gives them more collective intelligence than many would assume. So if you find yourself locked into a battle with one, don't underestimate them, as they might just pull out a surprise when you least expect it to ravage any competition before them.
Fascinating in form, and more than able to squash those that get too close to them, Stakataka are powerful walls that can take a hit and give it right back with gusto and ferocity few will expect at first. They might not exactly be the easiest of Pokemon to actually come across, but anyone that steps foot near one when it spawns in our world is in for a world of hurt if not prepared for.
As such, do yourself a favor and make sure that you've got plenty of powerful special attackers on your side before you challenge one of these titans. They might still be able to take the blows well, but anything physical outside of fighting and ground type assaults might have a hard time chipping through the armor and avoiding the monstrous heavy slam attack they have to flatten and render anything close to them little more than paste on the ground.
Thank you for watching this video. It brings me great joy to be able to speak to you all in the world each and every time we meet like this, to explore the many different facets of both the world of Pokemon as we know it, and the world as we live it, through every adventure we have with Pokemon by our side. If you'd like to, please subscribe, ring the bell and all that jazz, to keep yourself updated on content uploads and other materials of the like. You can also follow me on Twitter if you'd like to know right away when something new is uploaded, and my written works, from which most of this is based on, can be found on DeviantArt. Links to both can be found in the description down below. Remember that the world of Pokemon is a place full of wonder and mystery, and you never know what to expect. So, stay vigilant, keep watch, and always be prepared for the unexpected. Until next time, trainers and friends of all sorts, have a wonderful time.